following is a presentation of HBO Sports.
Tonight, Boxing After Dark returns with a can't-miss showdown between two of boxing's most aggressive combatants.
This is going to be a hellacious war.
Both these guys with knockout power, this will be brutal.
Neither Lucas Matisse nor Ruslan Provodnikov wants to take a backward step.
All the big, heavy punches coming from Lucas Matisse. Provodnikov hunting for one more big shot. He can take it, and he keeps on coming.
They're two of the world's best at 140 pounds. The Machine and the Siberian Rocky meet in what should be a tremendous action fight.
Belt or no belt, those are two champions you just saw.
Also tonight, it's the return of 2014's Fighter of the Year. 10 months ago, Terence Crawford won a lightweight title and participated in his own violent slugfest with Yuriorkis Gamboa.
Some of the most electric thrills we've seen in the sport in a long time. And a knockout for Terence Crawford.
That was a great fight.
Tonight, he moves up to 140 pounds, no doubt looking to make a statement against Puerto Rico's Tomas Dulorme.
Hard right hand by Dulorme.
It's a doubleheader in one of boxing's hottest divisions. From Arlington, Texas, it's Crawford Dulorme. Then, from Verona, New York, Lucas Matisse against Ruslan Provodnikov. We have a very special edition of Boxing After Dark tonight, coming to you from two sites, College Park Center at the University of Texas in Arlington, and then here at the Turning Stone Resort Casino in Verona, New York. Tonight, two fights in the 140-pound weight class, with the winners perhaps meeting sometime in the not-too-distant future. Hello again, everybody. I'm Jim Lampley, and we welcome you to this very special edition of Boxing After Dark. Later on tonight, the main event will take place here at the Turning Stone Casino in Verona, New York, when Lucas Matisse and Ruslan Provodnikov, two of the most determined, high-offense, hard punchers in boxing, get together for what could be a great fight. Each fighter has already been in a fight chosen by the United States Boxing Writers Association as the Fight of the Year, so simply by getting together, they present the possibility of a Fight of the Year candidate here tonight. Meanwhile, down in Arlington, Texas, Terence Crawford, last year's Fighter of the Year, as chosen by the boxing writers, is in action. Usually, that connotes a higher level of technical skill. I'll be here in upstate New York with Bernard Hopkins. Max Kellerman is with Roy Jones ringside there in Arlington, Texas, where already the arena has at one point tonight been evacuated for a tornado scare, or at least I know the production truck was. Max, what's the tornado situation as we get ready to come to you now?
Well, no tornado apparently in here at the moment. But the irony is that we're not in Nebraska right now, where in consecutive fights in Omaha, Terence Crawford drew over 10,000 people, including Warren Buffett, to the last one, because the only available venues tonight were outdoors, and the risk of bad weather in Nebraska, severe weather, was considered too great. So the fight winds up in Texas, where, of course, there's severe weather. But I suppose it's impossible to resist the urge to say the real gathering storm tonight, Jim, seems to be in Verona, New York. So here we are, Jim Lampley and Bernard Hopkins calling what seems to be, on paper at least, already a candidate for Fight of the Year in Matisse and Provodnikov. That looks like to be a battle of wills. This more like a battle of skill. Dulorme against Terence Crawford, but look a little closer, because what separated Crawford so far from the also-rans has been not just a fighting heart, but a taste for combat. When the going gets rough, he seems to enjoy it. And if there's been a criticism of Dulorme so far in his career, the thing that has kept him, once one of the hottest prospects in boxing, from becoming really considered one of the best fighters in the world, is that when the going gets rough, he instead seems to look to just get through it. So while, yes, that is a battle of wills, this one is too. Welcoming in Roy Jones Jr. right now, as Jim Lampley calls you, the pound-for-pound fighter of the 90s. I agree. So Crawford, the lightweight champ, the 2014 fighter of the year, top 10 on all these pound-for-pound lists, rising star, rises from lightweight to 140 pounds. What are your expectations tonight?
Well, right now, I'm looking to see exactly what does he do to go out and neutralize Thomas Dulorme. Thomas Dulorme was a high prospect at one point who still only has one loss on his record. He's that far away from being an undefeated fighter himself. The thing you want to see in Crawford tonight, although we saw him at 140 once, Dulorme is coming from 147 to 140. He's coming from 135 to 140. Can Crawford bring his power from 135 to 140 and be successful again?
Especially against a guy who's going down from 147, a naturally larger man. Let's look at the tail of the tape. We see Terence Crawford, 27 years old, actually the older fighter by 2 years in this fight, but they both should be in their physical primes. Dulorme a little taller, Crawford a little better reach as measured from the armpit to the end of the fist. They both weighed in under 140, but today, Crawford on our unofficial scales was a $155. Dulorme wouldn't get on our unofficial scales, so unofficially, they may be fighting as middleweights tonight. There's Thomas Dulorme. Dulorme's prospect star has faded a bit following his knockout loss to Carlos Abregu in 2012. But he has won 6 straight since then, including a win over the very tough Hank Lundy in his last fight back in December. And Roy, going into this fight, there were questions about Dulorme's heart and his willingness to battle through the tough moments. But early on, his skill, his size, his power, his talent was carrying the day.
Yeah, he had good power he showed there. That's something that the kid have to be careful of tonight because he's a powerful guy. He came down from 147, so right there it showed that his power is definitely a factor in this 40-pound division.
Meantime, as the fight wore on, the tough Hank Lundy started to impose his will, it seemed, on Dulorme, and by the end of the fight, the question was, could Dulorme hang on to get a decision, which he eventually did.
Yeah, right there you see the kid Lundy turn southpaw, which Terence Crawford is very good at doing, and gave Thomas Dulorme some real problems. So we'll see what happens tonight with that.
And here we see Tomas Dulorme. Roy, he is in his last 2 fights against Kareem Mayfield and then Hank Lundy, 2 good wins. He was with Robert Garcia as his trainer. Since then, he's parted ways amicably with Robert Garcia, his team feeling he needed more attention, not the divided attention of a celebrated trainer, but more attention. They went to Puerto Rico. They have like 4 guys training him now. Good idea?
Yeah, I think it was a brilliant idea with the fact that knowing Terence Crawford has about 3 or 4 guys that works in his camp as well. So you don't want to be a guy who gets part of one guy's time, and you have another guy who gets all of 4 guys' time. You rather be on the same sheet of music with your opponent so that you can have a dog in the fight too, as they would say.
When Dulorme was a rising prospect, his people made the mistake, as so many have in the past, even nearly Joe Frazier's people, when he was a rising contender decades ago, of putting him in with a relatively unknown but hard-punching, awkward Argentine fighter. In Dulorme's case, Abregu. Frazier's was Oscar Bonavena. He was knocked out. These recent fights he's had, Roy, especially against Lundy, do they help repair his confidence, even though he was holding on the end? He, after all, went on to win those fights?
Yes, they do help repair his confidence, and I myself had that same test with Jorge Castro. Very tough guy. The Argentine guys are always very difficult to deal with, so we saw what happened then. Now, let's see what he's made up with. Let's see what happens tonight.
There's Terence Crawford, one of boxing's fastest rising stars, powered largely on a monster 2014, earned him Fighter of the Year honors, began in March against belt holder Ricky Burns in Burns' hometown of Glasgow, Scotland. Roy, a place very hard to get a decision against Ricky Burns, as Ray Beltran found out. But Terence Crawford so thoroughly dominated the fight, he left no doubt and got the points win.
Yeah, he was very smart. He beat Burns' head, he beat Burns' body. He was very smart about the way he did it, very particular in his attack, and he made sure that he came away with the belt.
And here against Yuriorkis Gamboa, the Olympic champion and undefeated multiple division titleist. Crawford had some early trouble, but rallied back to floor Gamboa a total of 4 times, stopping him in a sensational star-turning performance.
Yeah, that was a big performance. The best fighter that he's probably ever fought to date, still even after tonight. And he showed a remarkable skill of boxing in the way that he defeated that guy.
That really announced his arrival. And then they came right back to Omaha, Nebraska, CenturyLink Center, where he followed up that performance in front of 10,000 plus with this paint job against his best available contender, Ray Beltran, in front of 11,000 plus.
Yeah, he showed a remarkable arsenal of what I was about to say against the kid from Cuba. Then he really did his thing on Beltran. Beltran's a tough guy, and he really gave Beltran a real boxing lesson.
There's Terence Crawford. Roy, after going overseas to win a belt, going to his hometown in a sensational Fight of the Year candidate at that point against Gamboa. Following that up with a big win against the best contender available, also in his hometown, screaming fans. Is this somewhat of a trap fight on the road? Not the same kind of crowd against not the same kind of opponent?
Yes, this is a trap fight because it doesn't seem to be the same type of opponent on paper, but it's worse than the same type of opponent in the ring. This kid is coming down from 147, which makes him probably the biggest guy that you've ever faced. Also, you're not as excited because you're not at home. You're not on paper fighting a guy who's supposed to be able to possibly upset you. So this could be a trap fight. However, I feel Terence Crawford is always so professional that he'll be able to handle himself pretty good, but we shall see.
As you have pointed out, the question is not only how Crawford takes the punch of a bigger fighter. Bradis Prescott, his only other performance at 140 pounds, never really hit him, but also the kind of effect his punches have on a naturally much bigger fighter who, as you mentioned, is coming down in weight at the same point Crawford's coming up. And let's go to Michael Buffer for what Jim Lampley would say are the official particulars.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the University of Texas here at Arlington. This is the main event of the evening. 12 rounds of boxing for the vacant WBO Super Lightweight Championship of the World. And it's all presented to you by Mr. Bob Arum and Top Rank Incorporated in association with Gary Shaw Productions. Sponsored by Tecate con Carácter and sanctioned by the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation, Chairman Mike Arizmendez, Executive Director William Kuntz. The World Boxing Organization President Francisco Paco Barcarcel. The 3 judges in attendance here at ringside, Larry Hazard Jr., Robert Hoyle, and Levi Martinez. And inside the ring, in charge of the action at the bell, your referee, Rafael Ramos. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the officials are ready, the fighters are in the ring, and they are ready. So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! Fighting out of the blue corner, wearing los colores de Puerto Rico, an official weight, 139 1/4 pounds. His professional record, an outstanding one. 22 victories, including 14 wins by knockout, only 1 defeat. From Carolina, Puerto Rico, former NABF and NABA welterweight champ, and the current NABF lightweight champion, super lightweight champion, Tomas Cordero Dulorme. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing blue with red and white, officially weighing in at 139 3/4 pounds. His professional record, a perfect one. 25 fights, 25 victories, including 17 wins by knockout, from Omaha, Nebraska, USA. The former WBO lightweight champion of the world, Terence Crawford.
Okay, let's go. Viene. You received the pre-fight instructions, recibiste las instrucciones. Protect yourself, protégete todo el tiempo. Give me a clean fight, una pelea limpia. Punches over here gonna be okay. Puños aquí van a estar bien. Buena suerte a los dos. Good luck. Both of you. Let's do it.
The question in this fight might be, is Tomas Dulorme mean enough inside that ring to deal with Terence Crawford, who's a mean little fighter? Said, I'm not the guy to be talking, I'm the guy to jump.
And he means that.
Crawford comes out, meets Dulorme in the middle of the ring, and it's Dulorme who seems to be trying to set the pace. Crawford probing with the jab. Roy, we've seen Crawford, maybe the most versatile fighter in boxing, fights orthodox as he's doing now, can switch up to southpaw, can be a high volume puncher, a counter puncher, has shown a knockout punch when he's needed one.
Always a very smart kid. Dulorme, however, is out searching right now to see what he can make happen. I think Dulorme wants to try to impose his will on Terence because he's coming from welterweight, and he's knowing that Terence is coming up from lightweight. So he's trying to see what happens if he imposes his will early on Crawford.
Crawford has frequently been able to impose the rhythm he wants on a fight, and here Dulorme seems to want to upset that, setting the pace, and maybe Crawford has somewhat subdued him already by easily blocking these shots.
Well, he's going to make Dulorme reach deep into his toolbox. In other words, make him find out what all can he do.
Well, already Dulorme went in for an aggressive left hand, and Crawford stepped in with the jab, destroying his rhythm.
Yeah, because Crawford is a very smart guy, very talented guy, a very smart boxer. So he causes a guy to have to pull his tools out early. If you don't have many tools, then you won't have a good chance against him.
Dulorme trying to work to the body on the inside as Crawford holds. Ref breaks him.
And that's why Dulorme has 4 trainers this time, because he wanted to increase his toolbox.
Dulorme, that time with the right hand, though blocked, partially landed to Crawford's midsection. And that may be a decent strategy for him, Roy, even if he's not landing cleanly, land on Crawford somewhere. He
has to throw as much as he can to make Crawford keep his punches at home, or keep his hands at home for defense, like that. When Crawford's smart, so if I'm in Crawford's corner, I'm telling him let's just wait Dulorme out, because usually Dulorme decreases in the later rounds. His output does.
Dulorme's been the more energetic fighter. Crawford, the fighter with better timing so far. 2 minutes gone in round 1.
Both guys throwing really big punches, though, Max. If one connects on the chin, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens from either guy.
Of course, Dulorme knocked out by Carlos Abregu, his only loss. Big puncher, Abregu. And Crawford, we have seen shaken up in a couple of different fights. Gamboa had his moments, and even Beltran had a few moments where he seemed to reach Crawford with some good hard shots upstairs.
Yeah, I don't really think Beltran ever truly hurt him. However, I think Gamboa did hurt him one time.
Come to the end of round 1. And there's Terence Crawford's mother making the trip down here to Arlington. Hasn't had to travel far in Nebraska recently, in Omaha.
Not when he coming forward, when you going forward. 1 and 2 up, 1 I stay down. Somebody get out. Hey, start using those feints a little bit. Maybe 1 or 2, just see what they're gonna do. After you feint, go with that jab, okay? All right, you see how when you stand, he ain't gonna come forward. You see how far it's...
Estamos bien, tranquilo, estamos bien. No te voy a dar agua. El cubo que va aquí, ¿dónde va el cubo que va allí? Para tirar agua. No es que no lo... Ven aquí, vamos, vamos, mano arriba.
Roy, both fighters have several trainers, up to 4 different people you can consider trainers on one level or another. But Crawford's had these guys his whole fighting life. Dulorme just got with them. What does that mean in terms of communication in the corner?
Well, it means a lot because Crawford is very comfortable in his corner, as you see. He knows who to listen to. He knows when to listen to him. If he ever becomes under distress, he's not going to be worried because he knows what he has in his corner. However, Dulorme, on the other hand, all of this is new to him. So he'll have to try to make adjustments. Things may get strange if there's a moment of distress.
Crawford very calm under pressure. He was calm in the corner. This is a guy who several years ago, with a scheduled fight on ESPN in several days at the end of the week, was in a dice game that he left. He says it got heated. Got into his car, was counting his money when he was shot at. The bullet went through the windshield and hit him in the head. He drove himself to the hospital and took that as a wake-up call to not be in the wrong place at the wrong time. But certainly it seemed to indicate the kind of calm that this guy has under pressure.
Yeah, he's very, very calm under pressure. That's what makes him such a good professional fighter, because of his calmness whenever under pressure. Right now you see him being very relaxed, dealing with everything Dulorme throws at him with no real contentment on his face. I mean, he's not really worried at all. So, and this is one thing an opponent hates to see. It's like he's waiting for Dulorme to get all of his good energy out, and then he'll start fighting Dulorme.
Crawford with a good left hook counter, seemed to land. Dulorme trying to step up the activity, but Crawford easily weaved both jabs. Throws one of his own. You heard in Crawford's corner, they want him staking out the middle of the ring, which is what he's doing right now.
But the early difference in this fight already, Max, is that you see Thomas Dulorme, he's doing things that are working things, but he's not really doing things that are boxing things. Crawford is doing things that are boxing things while he's working. In other words, Crawford is countering Dulorme's jab, countering his hook, countering his right hand to the body sometimes. Whereas Dulorme is just punching. He's never doing anything to make an adjustment or reacting to Crawford's punches.
Crawford's body, in a boxing sense, is very much the instrument of his brain. He can think very quickly and make his body react immediately. And Dulorme seems to have less of that than Crawford so far. Next Saturday night, heavyweight champion of the world, Vladimir Klitschko, defends the heavyweight championship against undefeated Philadelphian Bryant Jennings. And on May 16th, Gennady Golovkin, Triple G, going for his 20th consecutive knockout win against Willie Monroe. Also that night, it's the HBO debut of flyweight star Roman Gonzalez, who matches up with Edgar Sosa.
No está chiquitito, el medio esquivoso. Cuando manténgase ya tuyo de respeto.
Dale respeto. Respect you.
Bébete esa beta.
Drink this water.
Fuera, fuera.
Out, out.
Round 3 here in Arlington, Texas. The opening fight of a split-site doubleheader a little bit later on from Verona, New York. Matisse Provodnikov, which, Roy, the bell hasn't rung for it yet, and it's already almost a fight of the year candidate.
World War III is about to break out in Verona.
Meantime, the chess match that many anticipated, and Crawford, though he hasn't done a whole lot, seems in control.
He is in control. He's using his jab. Like I said, he's making a lot of boxing moves. He just swiped him across the chin with a small right hook just to let him know I can hit you whenever I get ready.
And just then rolls with the shoulder, so Dulorme's punch goes wide and connects with his own inside. When you say he's working, but he's not really making boxing moves, Roy. Can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, he's throwing punches, but he's throwing punches with no intent afterwards. Like, see that what he just did? He just did a straight right lead, and he knew he was going to bail out after that because he expected to make contact with that punch. So when he punches, he has other things planned after the punch.
Crawford does.
Yeah, Crawford does. Dulorme, like that jab, after he jabs, like that's it. That's over with. He has nothing else planned after that big right hand. Whereas, see, Crawford just tried to sneak that same overhand right, but over the top of Dulorme's jab. So everything Crawford does is with a boxing reason. Everything Dulorme does is more of a worker's reason.
He's just flailing with punches.
Exactly. Not really with any intent mentally. There's the difference in a real good boxer and a fighter. A guy just out there fighting who's just reacting to whatever happens. Dulorme is sort of reacting to what happens, whereas Crawford is trying to make stuff happen.
Well, if anything, Crawford's demonstrated so far in his young and excellent career a first-rate boxing mind.
You see that? He jabs, and he's looking to see what happens after this. Watch. Dulorme landed a good uppercut there, but that was just a reactive thing. He threw an overhand right and followed with a left uppercut. Nothing that he set up, he just threw it.
Crawford pumping that jab this round. It's one at a time, but as Roy mentioned, he's probing with it.
See, Dulorme threw that hook with no intent of doing anything afterwards.
Dulorme ties Crawford up in the middle of the ring and throws a flailing left hook, to which Crawford responds with a straight right hand that lands and a jab.
And while Crawford is throwing his straight right lead, he's eventually going to try to set up a hook afterwards. It's just that he's constantly hitting him with it, so he's getting him used to seeing it. Sooner or later, he'll follow with a left hook, so you know he has intent after that punch.
No.
Crawford
That's it.
grabbed again by Dulorme near the end of the ring.
We'll take you back to Arlington in just a second. Meanwhile, a look at Turning Stone Casino in Verona, New York, where a crowd of 4,500 is inside the arena and waiting expectantly for Lucas Matisse. They are getting his hands wrapped in the dressing room, and his opponent, Ruslan Provodnikov, also getting his hands wrapped in a fight that, as you've already heard from Max Kellerman and Roy Jones, is regarded as a candidate for Fight of the Year even before the opening bell sounds. So we'll be bringing you back here immediately following Crawford Dulorme for this. Meanwhile, Max Kellerman can't help but notice that Harold Letterman scored the first 2 rounds for Dulorme. I thought the third went to Crawford. Back to you.
So we begin round 4 with 3 in the books. The inimitable Harold Letterman. How do you have it, Harold?
Thank you, Max. I gave the first 2 rounds to Thomas Dulorme. I thought he was busier. Terence Crawford more relaxed. Dulorme, you know, winging some really hard shots. In round 3, Terence Crawford put his game together, started throwing nice left jabs. Dulorme didn't do much. Dulorme was laying back, looking for that left jab, hitting him in the face. 2 rounds to 1, 29-28, Thomas Dulorme.
Thanks, Harold. And Roy, I can see that. While Crawford, you could see, was strategically in control of the fight, in terms of the actual action, Dulorme was busier in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, because like I said, he's working, he's pushing the issue, but he got to do it with boxing intent to last 10 rounds or 12 rounds. And at some point, he has to start making real boxing moves.
Sure, in a 12-round fight, of course, if you have 2 in the books, you don't have to win that many more to make it a close fight.
But because of his reputation, though, I'm sure Terence Crawford is not worried, because he's hoping that Dulorme is going to fade like we've seen him do in the past. And like the last fight he had, we saw him fade badly, and that's what I'm sure the Terence Crawford corner is looking for.
CompuBox analysis of Terence Crawford corroborates what boxing fans see when they watch him. He's versatile. He's adaptable. If he needs to be the aggressor and have a high volume punch output during the course of a fight, that's what he'll do. If he needs to be the counter puncher, he'll do that. In the Gamboa fight, Uriorkis kept jumping in and catching Crawford on the way in. Crawford switched to southpaw and caught him with knockout, knockdown, and then eventually knockout blows on the way out.
And just now I saw Thomas Dulorme actually do some boxing stuff. He tried to counter with an uppercut and a right hand, so he did something with not all the intent on just the first move. So he may be starting to warm up a little bit now.
Do you think Crawford is fighting maybe a little more tentatively because he's at 140 pounds against a big 140-pounder?
Well, in the first round, I think Dulorme landed a straight right to the chest, Max. And sometimes when a guy lands a punch like that, it lets you know that you don't need to get caught by that punch no time soon. And I think that's what happened. So Crawford is playing it smart. And his corner told him the same thing. Let's let him burn some more steam off. Then we'll take some chances.
And those punches don't quite have the same effect on you if you've done your work.
If you've done your work later early in the fight. But if you let him land it early, it could cause all types of problems.
Crawford smiling at Dulorme. Dulorme staying behind the jab. Not allowing Crawford to actually dominate the action, even if Crawford's giving the impression that he's under control.
Crawford better be careful because Dulorme is a big puncher here.
Good right hand. The end of that round by Crawford.
Relax, relax. Nothing happened. How you feel now? How you feel? ¿Cómo estás? How are you?
Vamos, no. Cuando él se ponga difícil para atrás,
don't go backwards.
Tú no le vas para encima. Ven a los lados.
Go see side to side. Give me the bottle.
Pintor, tú estás pendiente de nada.
May 5th, don't miss the premiere of 24/7 Canelo Kirkland. And on May 9th, it's the live fight between the Mexican superstar Canelo Alvarez and the hard-charging knockout artist James Kirkland.
Let's get ready. Let's get ready. Yeah, get ready. Let's get ready. Start getting now.
Let's go. Let's go.
And Dulorme comes out, Roy, seeming to want to reestablish the kind of little bit more of an energetic pace, throwing the jab to the head and to the chest.
Yeah, he has a good long jab, Max, but I don't see him setting anything up off of that jab. A good boxer usually throws a jab with intent to do something afterwards. If your jab is your main punch or the main thing you're expecting to land, that's not a good look, especially in a 12-round fight against a guy who's a pretty complete boxer.
Crawford showed at the end of the fourth, Roy, that he was figuring some things out and hitting Dulorme cleanly with a right hand. But at a certain point, doesn't he need to start breaking Dulorme down and changing the actual outcomes of each round, not just the tenor of the fight?
Yeah, but as you know, most people know that Dulorme is good for the first 4 or 5, maybe even 6 rounds. And that's what guys train for against Dulorme, to let him have his way, 5 or 6 rounds, make him work. Then he'll slowly fade, usually. This time, I think he hired some better guys as far as the strength and conditioning goes as well. And with that being said, he may not fade, so that's what Terence will have to be careful of.
And not to belabor the point, but he was a real top welterweight prospect not long ago, Dulorme.
A big welterweight prospect. So Crawford can't get too relaxed here because he can't punch.
Yeah. And Dulorme, while that 1-2 didn't come close to landing, Crawford easily picked it off moments ago on his gloves. It still kept Crawford's gloves at home.
That's the good thing about the work ethic that Dulorme has. It does. That was a good boxing move. Like I told you last round, now he's starting to do boxing moves, and it may be that he's warming up now. Because early he wasn't doing things like that.
Dulorme having his moments in this first half of the fight. But the question with him is not, as you mentioned, how he does in the first half of fights. It's does he have that thing in him, that taste for combat that can carry him through the second half of the fight, where he can actually succeed in those later rounds.
That's always the question for Thomas Dulorme.
But he's boxing well enough, Roy, that Crawford's not able to do a lot of what he wants here.
No, he's not. It was because he's making boxing moves now. As you saw, he just countered Crawford's right hand just then. So now he's making more boxing moves and he's getting into the fight that way. Making Terence Crawford have to be careful because he knows anytime that he punches, something may come back.
Crawford staying orthodox for now. Looks like he was thinking about giving southpaw a try just then. Ending round 5.
You all right? Good, good. Easy work. Hey, where your mouthpiece at? Oh. Hey. Don't get lazy with your punches, okay? Be real careful. This motherfucker's still dangerous because he's still throwing with all that damn power. Yeah. All right? He's tiring himself out and shit. What we on, 6?
6 coming, bud.
All right.
Hey, pick it up.
You said 2nd?
Yeah, 6 coming.
All right.
I know you're good. I know you're good, but just
pick it up on him a little bit when you get closer to the end of the round like you did the round before. Okay? All right.
Vamos.
We start round 6. Looking at this, total punches landed so far. Roy, Terence Crawford's only thrown 214, landed 43 at 20%. Dulorme's thrown 266, landed 19%, but because he's busier, he has the advantage through 5, 50 to 43 over Terence Crawford in terms of punches landed. And that might be the only one that matters so far.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to tell you. He's right about to about round 6, and you see what happened in round 6.
All that boxing studying through the first 5 has paid off big here in 6 for Terence Crawford. He's measuring and tattooing Dulorme in the corner. Crawford, just with surgical precision, drops Dulorme again. That's flashing good power for Terence Crawford against a big guy for the 140-pound division. Look at the accuracy here, Roy. The way he's setting him up, the way Terence Crawford is setting Dulorme up for these surgical strikes.
And he's smart. He's beating the head and the body, man. He's not just head hunting. This is what you want to see in a good champion. He's not just strictly head hunting when he has to get hurt. He's going to the head and the body.
It's pretty clear through those first 5 rounds, Crawford studied up and now knows every single thing he has to do, and he did it. That is a sensational 6th round knockout for Terence Crawford. One sensational performance after another. Look out, junior welterweights.
That's what you call professional boxing and sticking to your game plan.
Even as he was giving away some rounds.
You got to do that sometimes.
He was taking the edge off of Tomas Dulorme. And here are the 2 shots that hurt him, Roy. Measured him, hit him with the left and the right hand.
Faded the jab and hit him with the hook right hand, something he had been setting up behind the jab all night, which is what I told you earlier. When he's used that jab, he's looking for what he can do afterwards. And it's what he did after the jab is what hurt Thomas Dulorme. When you saw Dulorme punch, he wasn't doing that. See that? Hook right hand right over the top. Right off of a feint jab. He feinted the jab like he's going to throw the same jab he's been throwing, but he changed it to a hook right hand. And he had been doing this all night long. It just was a matter of time before he went with the gusto. I went with the killing punch.
And then it seemed, once he had him badly hurt, here's the 2nd knockdown. It seemed that he had studied up in the first 5 rounds and knew every single thing he had to do once he got Dulorme hurt.
Of course, once he got him hurt, he just had to keep on hitting him. He's fatigued a little now. Once the fatigue sets in, you just keep throwing at him. He caught him with that clean right hand, and down he went again.
And here's the end. I mean, Dulorme never truly had his legs back, Roy, and possibly could have continued fighting, but it was clearly academic at that point. Crawford seemed to have beaten the fight out of him.
Crawford made sure he beat the head and he beat the body so that he would never get his legs back. That's the mistake a lot of guys make when they're trying to finish. They beat the head, but they don't beat the body to ensure that the opponent doesn't regain consciousness.
Terence Crawford celebrating with Coach McIntyre. And there is Deborah Crawford, Terence's mom. Pretty happy about what she saw here tonight, Roy.
And she should be.
Let's go to Michael Buffer for the official announcement.
Ladies and gentlemen, the star continues to rise for the Fighting Pride of Omaha, Nebraska. He is still undefeated, and he is now a two-time world champion and the new WBO super lightweight champion of the world, Terence Bud Crawford. Official time, 151, round number 6.
Give me a minute.
Roy, here we see the final punch stats, which Dulorme had a slight edge heading into the 6th round, but Crawford wound up landing 67 out of 276, 24%. Dulorme 53 out of 280, 19%. Dulorme came into that round having landed 53 punches, 19% of his punches. None of those punches mattered all that much.
No,
Crawford had him measured.
Yeah, Crawford had him measured. Crawford had a plan that he stuck to. His plan was to come out, wear him down, then take advantage of it.
Power punches, Crawford 40 to 23, threw more of them, landed more of them, landed at a higher connect percentage, 34 to 22%. Congratulations, Terence. You pick up a brand new belt at 140 pounds. Tell me what you thought of your performance tonight.
I thought I had a hell of a performance, but first and foremost, I'd like to thank God for blessing me with this victory. Without him, none of this would be possible. I'd like to thank my team. I'd like to thank Terence, HBO. Happy birthday to my nephew, Travion Crawford. Today is his birthday. He said all he wanted was me to win, and that's what I gave him.
All right, you've earned the right to say all that stuff. But now, how about the fight itself? Through the first 5 rounds, it looked like you were measuring him, you were in control, but you weren't overly active, and maybe he'd stolen a couple rounds. Then you come out in the 6th, and it's as though you flipped a switch.
No, my coaches told me to do that. Saul told me, when I go out there, don't give him it yet. Just touch him, Don't let him feel it yet. Then, as you can see, in that 6th round, going into the 7th, he told me to pick it up. He said, pick it up. I said, all right, because that's what we practice on. Just touching him, making him feel like, oh, this guy ain't got nothing, kind of will him to sleep.
We've seen you fight in so many different styles, orthodox, southpaw, coming forward, backward, high volume puncher, knockout puncher, big guys, little guys. How would you describe your style to the fans at home?
Versatile. I feel like I can do whatever. As long as I train hard and put my mind to it, I can do whatever.
Let's take a look at the first knockdown and tell me what you see.
Oh, I just faked him with the jab, like I did Sanabria. As you can see, I wasn't throwing the hook at first. You know, I was just baiting him in with the jab. I start touching him, and I see he kind of trying to block it. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to just come hook right hand.
Was there anything about fighting at 140 pounds? Now, I know you fought Prescott, but this is a 147-pounder coming down. You're only your 2nd fight at 140. That felt different than fighting at lightweight.
I felt stronger.
Quickly, you're at 140 pounds now. Your plans in the near future?
Well, as you can see, I leave that up to these 2 men, along with Cameron Duncan, and they're going to come up with a great plan.
Well, it'd be a really great plan if maybe it's the winner of our next fight. Thanks, Terence. That's right, why not? Roy, we heard from Terence Crawford. He feels stronger at 140 pounds. We got Matisse and Provodnikov coming up. Your thoughts on Crawford's performance and where he goes from here?
My thoughts on Crawford's performance was that it was an absolutely wonderful, marvelous performance. Definitely a great show of discipline. Listened to his corner well, did exactly what his corner told him to do. And now you understand when I say he was doing things that were boxing moves, that means he was setting up the next step. That's what I saw him doing all night long, and that was very good. However, these two guys that you're about to watch box right now, they don't really give you a lot of time to do things after the next step. So it will be so interesting to see Terence Crawford versus the winner of this next barn burner that I guarantee you fans are about to get.
Yeah, there are no guarantees in life, but Angulo Kirkland, Rios Alvarado won, and now Matisse Provodnikov seem like the boxing version of a guarantee, don't they? That'll do it for here in Arlington, Texas, where Terence Crawford once again shows various nuances of his game, is now, you know, in the mix in terms of a discussion of the best fighter at 140 pounds, based not only what he's done at lightweight, but also what he did against Bradis Prescott not long ago, and now tonight against Dulorme. That'll do it from Arlington. Jim?